I am scared and nervous to move my store to its brand new location, which we are doing very soon. Probably even started the process by the time this video comes out. And before I jump into the meat and potatoes of the video here, which is probably going to be very rambly, so I do apologize up front, I wanted to give the backstory for anyone watching who doesn't know what's going on. So I own a retro video game store called Double Jump Video Games. We are in Vancouver, Washington. And when we originally opened our store, we were at about 1,100 square feet. That was back in, that was August 18th of 2018. So we just passed our 7-year anniversary. And the original store, like I said, was about 1,100 square feet. After a couple years, the business that was to our left closed and moved out. So we rented out that spot, knocked down the wall and expanded to about 1,900 square feet. It's like 1958, something like that. And we've been there for like 5 years now. And we've been working on moving our store to a new location for like 2 years at this point. And there's a bunch of hangups with the city, with zoning issues and permits and stuff like that, which I don't need to get into because it's not important, but essentially we are ready to start moving. And we're moving into a space that is 4,050 square feet. So it's a little over double what our current size is. Not only is it much larger, but it's also a nicer building. Like more updated, stuff like that. It is also in a better area. Even though it's fairly close to our current store, it's further away from the freeway. So it's a little bit nicer of an area. The parking lot is 1,000 times better. And also it's right on one of the busiest main roads in the entire county, which is Mill Plain. Our current spot is on a side road that is off of Mill Plain, so we're pretty close, but the new place is basically just better in every single way. The front half of our new suite has ceilings that are a foot taller than our current spot as well, and because we were working with the owner to basically design our entire layout, we kind of got to make it perfect, right? And this is something we've been working on for, like I said, almost 2 years now. We originally started looking at this spot in October of 2023, and we were supposed to move in like April of 2024, and everything kind of got pushed back. So now finally, September of 2025 is when we are anticipating being able to start. You know, they're finishing up renovations right now. I'm filming this at the August 23rd, I think, somewhere around there. So they're finishing up that. We should be taking occupancy around September 15th and then go from there. So it's been a very, very long time. But the reason that I'm very nervous about this, and I'm honestly kind of scared, is because of the increase in cost and expenses versus what we are paying now to run our store. I have talked to so many other store owners over the years. I have met a lot of people, become friends with a lot of people, and I know kind of what it costs to run many of these other retro video game stores. And ours, especially when we move to our new spot, is going to be much higher than most of them. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one is that we're in Washington State. It's one of the most expensive places to live in the entire country. And that kind of sucks, but I grew up here. I have no interest in moving away. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in California. I love Washington State. I have no plans to ever leave this area again in my life. So for those wanting us to open up a store in Nashville or somewhere else, it's probably not going to happen. But it's a very expensive place to live, and just our current spot of 1,900 and whatever square feet, a spot of that same size in Ohio or in Alabama or something like that is a fraction of the price that we have to pay now. And our new spot being over double the size, plus with all the other benefits of being a nicer area, nicer building, nicer parking lot, our new rent is well over double our current rent. It's actually 150% higher, which, to put that into perspective, and these are fake numbers right here, but let's just say that our current rent was $10,000 a month. Thank God it's not. That would mean that our new rent would be $25,000 a month. And you can see how big of a difference that is. We're not talking about numbers of that size, luckily, but that's just to illustrate, excuse me, just to illustrate how big of a jump we have in rent. And that's not the only expense that's going to increase. Our security cost is going up because we have a second door at the new spot. We have more windows. We have a bigger space to cover for the motion sensors, the alarm. We have more cameras, all this kind of stuff. So security is going up. We're actually upgrading our internet as well, which not a huge deal, but that's going to increase electricity. And I kind of assume water is going to go up as well at the new spot because we have 2 bathrooms at our current store because it was 2 suites that we combined. We also have 2 bathrooms at the new store, but our current spot, we have 2 toilets. The new spot, we have 3 toilets and a urinal. But we also have a full kitchen at the new store with a dishwasher. So there's definitely going to be more water usage there. We're going to have a full-size fridge and the dishwasher. There's a sink in the kitchen as well. So all the other bills are going to go up. Thank God we are not planning on hiring because we don't need to. We'll see how things go, obviously, but payroll is the biggest expense for a video game store, maybe outside of buying inventory. But payroll is a huge expense, and rent compared to payroll has been nothing. It's like a fraction of it, right? But at our new place, rent is a pretty big chunk. And that's why I'm getting kind of scared and nervous about this. I will say, I am 100% confident that everything is going to work out, and I'm extremely excited to get started and work on this because it's my entire life, right? You guys see me standing behind my collection here, and you see the YouTube videos that I post on this channel, on the Double Jump channel, wherever else I make content. It's always about video game stuff, and that's because that's all that I do. That's my entire life, right? My number one hobby is collecting video games and playing video games. My career is owning a video game store. Everything that I do on the internet is surrounded by like making content about video games, and it's kind of like the only thing that I do, right? And so I'm extremely excited to get started. I have so many ideas and plans for what the store is going to be and what our store has been for the past 7 years. There have been plenty of times where we've maybe had an opportunity to make way more money by sacrificing something else, and I've never done that. I've always turned it down, whatever it is. There's been opportunities we've passed on. There have been things we could have changed or done to make more money, but I didn't open a retro video game store to get rich, right? I obviously want to make enough money to survive and to live the life that Abby and I have. We've been very fortunate enough to be able to buy our house here. We have been able to build this awesome collection. But outside of video games and food and bills, we don't really spend money on anything. The car that I have, I bought in 2014. It's a 2012. That is the only car that I've ever owned. I get it serviced when I need to, but I've never been like, oh, I wish I had a Ferrari or something. Like, I don't care about that stuff. I only care about video games and my store. And one thing that I've always tried to do with the store is make it really, really cool, make it really fun, and make it like the best place to go buy video games. Because I remember being a kid and going to Game Crazy in Hazeldale here in Vancouver. And it was just so much fun. It was such a cool place to go. I remember going to Blockbuster with my family to rent movies and games all the time. We'd go like every week or two. And we'd go to Game Crazy every week or two as well. And I want to be a place for younger kids now who will grow up and be like, man, Double Jump was such an awesome place. I remember going there when I was a kid. That was the coolest game store ever. I want to be that game store, right? And so I do a lot of things for the store that don't make any money, and they usually cost money to do, but I just think that they're so cool and so fun that to me it's worth doing. Even if it's not the best financial decision, they're things that I want to do because I care so much about just making the store the best that it can possibly be. And sometimes, at least for me, that doesn't mean making the absolute most amount of money possible. And because I have that mindset about it, I'm a little nervous about the cost of rent because it is so high. one thing that I kind of think about sometimes to make myself not as scared about it is that we're not adding this gigantic bill out of nowhere. We're actually just increasing a current bill, right? We already pay rent for our current spot. And yes, the new rent is over double our current price, but it's not like that's an additional expense of that full amount. It's just the difference between current rent and future rent, right? So it's not quite as bad as it might seem, since we're already paying a portion of that now. We're just increasing it versus adding a new bill. But still, it's a lot of money, and it is scary. But like I said, I'm confident that it's going to work, and if I wasn't, I wouldn't be doing this. We could stay at our current spot and be fine, right? We could just continue doing what we're doing, and we'd probably be fine for a very, very long time. But that's not as fun. It's not as cool. I'm interested in growing things, not financially. I mean, that's also good, but I'm just interested in building the coolest game store you've ever seen, and I've ever seen. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that with this new spot, with the amount of square footage that we have, the ideas and plans that we've already set in motion, the things we already have purchased that are just waiting to be moved in, and all the work that the contractors have done and the owner has paid for, luckily, to make our spot exactly how we want it, it's all just going to come together and be something extremely special. And obviously, if you're not following the Double Jump Video Games YouTube channel, I would highly recommend that you do so. It should be the top link in the description of this video. But that's kind of the main channel. This is just my personal collection stuff. I mainly just film everything here in the game room or game hunting at a convention or something, but the Double Jump channel is the main thing. And so please follow that if you want to follow along with the process of, moving to this new store and setting everything up and building things and all of that, and seeing my vision come to life. I think that our current store is pretty cool, but it's not the coolest game store I've ever been to. There's other game stores that I've visited where I walk in, I'm just like, holy crap, like this place is incredible. And I want to be one of those stores for other people and for myself. And I think that we're gonna do it. I think it's going to work out. But just because I am confident that it'll work, and just because especially at this point after owning the store for 7 years, I know that we have the required skills and the knowledge and everything to make it happen. That doesn't mean that it's not still scary. And I'm sure you guys can understand that. And I'm kind of just making this video to get my thoughts out, because if I think about stuff, I just think about the same things over and over, and talking things out is very, very helpful. Even though it's just me talking to the camera right now, but it's a little easier than talking to myself, right? I know that there's someone listening. I know that there's somebody watching this video. So I don't know. I don't have any requests for tips or suggestions or input or anything like that. Obviously you can comment whatever you'd like. But I'm kind of just making this video for me to just get my thoughts out there. And it has been helpful, at least so far, this 13 minutes I've been speaking. But just to put everything into one spot is helpful. So thank you guys for listening to me ramble. I'm sure that I left out tons of information that I would have wanted to include here, but there's no script, I'm sure you can tell. I kind of just turn on the camera and do my thing, and that's kind of how I do most of my videos. And usually I have an idea, so it works out. This one, I didn't really know what I was going to say. I'm just telling you guys how I'm feeling and giving you some of the information that hopefully can help you to understand where I'm coming from. But I know that I probably left out a ton of things that after making this video, I'm gonna be like, oh, should have said that, should have put that in there. But hopefully you guys get the main idea of what I'm trying to say. Basically, I'm really scared, I'm really nervous, but I'm also extremely excited. I'm very, very hopeful, and I'm confident that the new store will work. And I'm just super excited to get started. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.